It's spinning and we are live now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another show. I'm very, very excited about this one. So Yahli Admati is our guest today. And Yahli and I met because since the coronavirus lockdown, what our company has been doing, the company I work for, Checkpoint Software Technologies, based in Tel Aviv, Israel, is putting on these great informative discussions, bringing in thought leaders from across the world on a variety of different subject matters. And Yahli was one of our guests, I think back in June, right? And Yahli came along and blew me away with a futuristic presentation that was just wonderfully entertaining, very, very thought-provoking, and a deep dive into some technology. And so I thought, what a great guest that would be for our iTech podcast. And so Yahli, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Eddie. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, well, we were having a little bit of ad lib before we went live here. And one of the things that Yahli was telling me about is not work, but creation. Tell us, I mean, look, so I'll start with a statistic. Before the pandemic, 31% of enterprise corporations had employees working at home. Today, it's over 80%. Talk to us about how you feel the new world, the new working environment is going to be moving forward from this unbelievable beginning to a new decade.
Okay, I think working from home is, just a small hint of what is really waiting for us, because I think the essence of the business world is going to be changing in the coming few years, because the technologies, the 15, what we call enabling technologies, are advancing so quickly. So we are really going to outsource anything which is dirty, dangerous, or repetitive. So the concept of being very efficient and the mounting pressure to arrive to the highest level of efficiency is going to be thrown out of the window, because you have the machine who can do that for you. So what is going to be the source of your competitive advantage? So it's going to be totally different, and it's going to be bringing a value to all of the share of stakeholders of your company. And for that, you need a totally different framework, because you need to let your people be creative. You need to let them, have passion to look for new solutions. And the most important, I think John Hagel is saying, we will have to have very intelligent and creative and resourceful employees, which will look for hidden opportunities and unseen threats. So we are going, instead of looking at what is in front of us, we will look for what is beneath. And what is going to happen is we are going to stop working in silos. We are going to have small teams, no more than 7 or 8, or in some situation like 12. It's like, what Jeff Bezos believed, that you can't have a team which is that can't share a pizza. So
what's that analogy? I haven't heard that one.
Yeah. So if you have a team which is who can't, that you ask them to have dinner together, and and they have to share a pizza, and no one is getting a share amount of the pizza, it meaning you have too many people. So you cut the team in half. So you have 7 or 12 slices. That's it. You can't have a team which is larger than this. But what is going to be is that each of these members of the team is going to come from a totally different department. So it's not going to be accounting or technology or engineering or whatever, or marketing. So you will create small teams for process that will take between 6 weeks to 12 weeks, that will have to work on solving a problem or finding a way to enhance opportunity. So all of us, we are going to have a totally different working experiences, because we are going to work with people that we never met before. We will have to be very sensitive. We will have to be very creative, because we have an opportunity and we need to find a solution. And we have to be, also in a sense, I would say very, insightful, in a sense that you have to go into domains that you're not really familiar, and to have an idea how and then you go home. But what is going to happen is that people are going to be very happy, because suddenly going to work is not doing the same thing that you've been doing, and how you do it better or quicker. You just every 3 months, you have a totally different group that you're working with. You're dealing with a problem you've never heard of, or in user opportunities. So suddenly it's becoming like a game, and it's fun, and you engage. And it's crucial, because I'll just finish that right now. Like 87% of the employees worldwide are saying that they are going to work because they need to support the family.
Yeah.
But they don't like it. They don't enjoy. They're not really engaged. And I think it's a horrible statistic because we spend most of our life at work. So I think a huge change is coming.
I believe I read just yesterday that Microsoft, this could be global. I'm not 100% sure. If I'm not too distracted, I'll Google it at the same time and show the viewers on screen. Microsoft has said all their employees can indefinitely stay at home. So I'll Google that in a moment when you're speaking. But that's really interesting to me. Have you seen some technologies that might help teams create this kind of environment, Yahli?
Yeah, well, first of all, you have this. I think we have to replace what we call the water cooler discussions. So you should have all these small surprises, and you have to divide them into small groups. And you and then you can so it's like it's going to be like very agile. You start a discussion, and then you have pairs who are going to the different rooms, and then they're coming back. So I think in any case, security is going to be a huge issue because you need to make sure that people feel comfortable. And I think what is also going to be very interesting, a huge change for men, because suddenly they stay at lunch, they can have lunch with the children.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be fantastic? And look here, exactly. So that article, the Bright Talk thing always cuts off the screen. So you would see the article there. It's not showing Bright Talk's garbage. But so Microsoft will let employees work from home permanently. This was posted October 9th. And so isn't that super fascinating to me? All right, well, so you were mentioning, and ladies and gentlemen, Yahli is out of Tel Aviv and I think just started or working on a contract with the military there. You and I were speaking about this, and I'm wondering if what you're saying might lead into this conversation, which was how making decisions in an exponentially changing environment. So talk to us about what you did with the military there.
Okay, well, I'm really honored because I'm working with our army on the military forces for few years and on many projects. But I think this is a serious concern for any serious organization, because you have this you have this idea what the world, and you have to stick to some of the basic concept. But on the other hand, the situation is changing so quickly. So how can you prepare to the unpreparable, to the unknown?
Right.
So because we know that this coming decade is going to be, in any case, an unusual one, because 15 new technologies are coming, they're arriving to prime time, meaning they're getting you can trust them, they're trustworthy, it's easy to deploy, each of them, and also the prices are going down exponentially. So
we have 15 technologies.
15.
What 15? What technologies are they?
AI, robotics, gene sequencing, transportation, 3D printing, IoT, spatial internet, there are different. And it's connected to
disruptive technology. Yeah.
Extended reality, which you have augmented reality and you have virtual reality. And so, I can go, and so we have never in the history of human race, never, we had more than 3 together. Never.
Wow.
So what in any case, we knew in 2019, we knew that this decade, we are going to see the amount of change that we have seen in the last 100 years. And in the coming 100 years, we are going to see the amount of change that we had to go through during the 25,000 years before that. So in any case, it's it's unprecedented. Yeah. Eddie, even to be born here, people don't understand. It's the luckiest thing that happened to all of us.
Yeah, that's right. So this is mind-blowing. So what was your advice to the military on how to manage these 15 massively disruptive technologies so that we can all move forward, well?
Okay, I think the first one is a very, very good advice coming not from me, but Professor from Kahneman, Danny Kahneman.
Okay.
Where he says the most important thing is to get rid of your intuition.
Get rid of what?
Intuition, the sense that
Really?
Because what it says, intuition works very well when you have the ability to recognize patterns,
Spectrums.
Patterns, a pattern. That's something that is repeated, that
a pattern. Yeah, a repeated pattern.
Sorry, it might be a problem.
You're good,
sorry.
my friend.
And that you've seen enough of them, say, oh, this is okay. Now we understand what it is, and that change is not rapid. So the first thing right now is, how do you, in a sense, freeze your intuition?
Yeah, right.
So it's like creating this enabling place that you study. And you study things that you'd never known, and you study them in new methods, and then you create a total different team of decision makers, and then you get into a round of rapid prototyping and learning. So
this, and who was it who said that about getting rid of intuition? What was his name?
Professor Danny Kahneman. He got his Nobel Prize, I think, I think 20 years ago on, he with Noam Chomsky, they I think it was in economics and psychology when they showed that we are not really rational, that we are very emotional, and that and then he created this method called rapid thinking and slow thinking.
Oh, he sounds like a good guest. Okay, so I'm going to take note of that. So
he's a wonderful guy. He's a wonderful.
University of Tel Aviv, or where is he?
Right now, I think in the United States. I think he's right now in Silicon Valley somewhere.
Okay.
And he's writing a new book now.
Right. So that's right, because if we think intuition is a good thing, our intuition is actually based on yesterday's experience. But what you're saying, 15 disruptive technologies in 1 decade, we've only ever had 3. We've only really had 1 every millennia up until fairly recently, right? So the printing press, that was 1, right? And now we're having these printing press moments, 15 of them, in this coming decade. So intuition would be bad. It would serve, that's right, it would serve based on yesterday's knowledge. All right, what else? So get rid of intuition. What else you teach in the military?
Okay. So what I told them is that they should try and think like we are all suffering from what we call educated incapacity. Okay. Meaning, so we trust the experts. So we should get rid of, and we shouldn't, so this is very serious. I'll explain why. Because when we talk about the 15 technologies, it's not only technology, but the knowledge is changing. So if you're talking about the medical field, if, for example, we're talking 50, 60 years ago, it was wonderful if I made a decision to become a doctor, and, treat patients. It was wonderful because I take 10 years of my life and I dedicate it from studying, because the gap between my knowledge and the, professional doctor was, for 10 years. Now, about 2 years ago, I was in San Diego when we were still traveling, and I was in Exponential Medicine in this summit. And Professor Helmka, who is, I think, one of the most distinguished one from Harvard, got on the stage, and he's, he's helping countries changing the medical organizations and so forth. And he says, listen, right now, the rate of change is totally remarkable, because when I studied, it was every 50 years that the information and the knowledge was changed. Now, every 77 days, the knowledge is changing, but it's not augmented knowledge. It's replacing more knowledge. Meaning if you're taking care, you're being taken
I see. So in other words, you're replacing bad knowledge that could be harmful. So it's not augmenting the current knowledge. It's saying the old knowledge was not good. We've got improved knowledge. That's really interesting to me, Yahli. And then I remember when I reached out to you after you presented to Checkpoint a few months ago, you said something along the lines, and I'm paraphrasing, that in the future, and in the next 30 years or so, a lot of the current surgeries will seem like kind of butcher shops, right? As far as the DNA Right. Let's move into there, and I'm going to bring you back to these 15 technologies. So this doctor, you're right. Every what was it? 90 days? Was
77 days.
77 days. They're replacing critical knowledge, which blows my mind as to how they're going to do that. We need systems in place to feed information to these physicians. We got so I could talk to you for hours. So talk to me about the changes in DNA that might be coming, and then we'll come back to the 15 disruptive technologies.
Yeah, when we are talking about the health category or medical, I think there are the three major shifts in our mindset and our understanding is that, first of all, you can really, and I know it's unbelievable, we can really relate to our body as information technology, like software and hardware. And this happened after we touched the essence of life. After a project that was, it took us, I think, 14 years, cost us $2.7 billion. The United States funded it, and we finished it at 2003.
You say we. Who's we that finished it?
The first gene sequencing.
Okay, yeah.
George Church, who was the initiator of this project, when he was asked, when you think we are going to be able to do the same process for $1,000, he said it will take us 60 years. It took us 6 years.
To see.
And now,
Wow.
and now Illumina, and I'm going to explain in a second what it is. Illumina says that they are capable of doing it in 1 hour and probably less than $100. And
So to what end? Why is that beneficial for people?
Wonderful, because everything serious that happens in your body has to do with your genetic heritage. You get 3.2, letters from your mother and the same amount from your father, and then you have this 3.2 billion couples in your pairs, and this is who you are. So let's assume you were only born, and we look at it, or even before you're born. And we know that 5% of the population might have some hereditary disease. Some of them can be incredibly horrible. What if I'll tell you that within 10 years, we can wipe up 78% of hereditary disease?
Yeah. It's incredible, Yahli. I mean, I take myself as an example. So I have a few autoimmune diseases, nothing too serious, but it means I very rarely breathe through my nose. It's always blocked. And so when I was a child, they gave me surgery to open it up. Didn't work, right? So then as a sort of in my 20s, I had another one to try again. Then I had another one in my late 30s. There's almost nothing left up there because they just keep carving holes. The reality is, it's swelling from autoimmune responses to things like grass and dust, and so unfortunately the surgeries, and I can live with that, I'll just breathe through my mouth, but the surgeries for me were actually detrimental, right? Because it carved up holes all over in my sinuses, all over the place, right? Which leads to more disease because you get trapped germs and all sorts of things in my sinuses are all around here. So what you're saying is, as a person that's already born, I'm not engineering it out at conception. How can the genome sequencing and what you're talking about help a guy like me?
Because then we can use a tool that, Jennifer Doudna only got a prize Nobel for that last week, which we call CRISPR-Cas9, which is it's evolving. So this is a method. Once we understand that everything in your body is more than anything else depend on your heritage and what you got, your genetic. So we go into your genetic and we see what we should tackle. Think about it like a Word document that you write. So we go in and we see what we should change. And before you know it, it's going to be like half a day at the hospital while your mommy is still, might be that you're still, in the wound, and we can do it before you even born, and we finish with it. Even more serious things like, child that is born without, with heart problems, or with, might have a problem with, another point in another part of his body. We can do it before he's born. And for you, especially because now we understand that we can do that, we can do something more interesting for you. We can take stem cells from here, from your hand.
Okay.
We take it to the laboratory. We remind them how they were when you were born. We take them back in time.
Okay.
We tackle them. Simply, it's a computerizing process to become your new nose, nostrils. We give you one injection, and after 3 months, they know what to do, and everything inside your nose is rebuilt. We can do it as well with some parts of your brain already.
Sign me up. That's amazing. Yeah, that's truly incredible. You know, your saying has just stuck in the back of my mind that medicine today will seem like a butcher's shop when technology, right? So what you're saying is, this is the hardware, the software is the DNA, and we're just programming or reprogramming software.
Yeah, and let's think about, for example, the other tool is that we're going all to become quantified self. Think of your car. You have between 300 and I think 500 sensors, right? When you get into the car, you know that it's keeping there is a computer that makes sure that now, why can't we have a computer like a shield on us? So let's assume you're going to have this watch, doesn't matter, an Apple Watch, and then it's going to be a chip here or whatever, and then it's going to be a small molecule that is going into your blood cell and all the time looking what's happening in your body, and you're going to have like 4 numbers for your head and for your brain, the health of your brain, the health of your heart, the health of your gut, your mental health. And every morning, and for your skin, when you go to take a shower every morning, simply in the walls, it's going to be scanning that to see that nothing is happening to you. So 5 numbers. And every morning you get a number, on your cell phone saying, okay, we checked you today. Your brain is okay, but we are not happy with your gut. And why is this so important? Because it seems that some of the diseases of the mind and of the brain are starting. About 2 months ago, I think it was Oxford, but perhaps I'm mistaken, please forgive me, came out with a paper saying that it seems that Parkinson is really a gut disease that is climbing up to the head.
How interesting. Yeah.
So we are going to have this method which keeps us all the time, because every disease you find at stage 0 or 1, you can tackle it.
You said, and as a cybersecurity guy, I listen to this, I think, how do we secure this, right? Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I'm lucky. I work for one of the founding fathers of cybersecurity, Gil Schwed, and I'm blown away. Oftentimes, self-driving cars, for example, we are now in dialogue with, chip manufacturers. So it's not just a matter of plonking a firewall and a bunch of IPS devices and traditional cybersecurity on the inside, outside of perimeters and the cloud, all this kind of stuff. Now we're talking about, okay, we need cybersecurity in cars. We need cybersecurity for the human body. And in actual fact, let's talk about that too, because I want to keep digging on the medicine, but transportation. You had some amazing thoughts on transportation when you presented to us back in May, June timeframe. So, let's talk about the future of transportation. We're seeing, and it seems to me a publicity stunt, come at some of the air taxis in some of the sort of uber wealthy kind of areas as an experiment. But this must be the future. Talk to us about that. Where are we going here, and when's it coming, and what can we do?
Okay, first of all, I think the essence is that the knowledge, our understanding what is time and space is going to be totally changed. For example, I can send my avatar like in 10 years, and I can sit with you in the States. Because we are going to use, for example, I'm going to send to you, let's assume something as small as this. Okay. It's going to be a box. And I'm going to use 4, it's called not 3D printing, but 4D printing.
Okay.
So time is a variable. So someone is getting on the plane and he puts this and he bring you that. And because time is variable, at one point you're saying, Yahli, please send me the code. And you put in the code, you connect it to your computer, and then my avatar comes out. and I'm with you in the States, and you can touch me and feel me. So this is really, really, really 10, 15 years from now. I know it sounds crazy, but
it does. But what am I touching and feeling then?
You're gonna, like a human, it's going to be like a human. You're going to feel like, it's going to be an entity. It's going to be a full entity. It's unbelievable. You're going to be able to hug me and even to to sense the perfume I put on. So this is the high end. Let's go into the. I'm sorry. You wanted to know where we're going.
In my mind, this is fantastic, but I want to know, what am I actually hugging when I greet you? When it's your avatar, I mean, there must be some kind of plasma involved, some kind of.
yeah. Right? But more than anything else, energy. We know that everything in the world is energy. In the end, everything is so you have different forms of energy, but in the end, it's going to be energy. So I think we are going to be blown away by physics. I heard one of the most important physics, I forgot his name, and he's 78, and he's speaking to this guy from MIT. And so this guy says, so what do you think? We still have anything to find out, to investigate? He says, what are you talking? He says, all the rules of physics are going to be changed in the coming decade.
Huh. Are we talking string theory? Is this where we're going? Because we're breaking. Yeah, no.
Whatever. Just to give you an idea, yeah. And Oxford, and I'll go back to flying cars in a second because I'm waiting for this. But just to give you an idea, that only 3 months ago, Oxford, which is a very serious and traditional organization, came out with a statistical calculation that implies we have 32 different intelligent only in the Milky Way. It says statistically wise, when we calculate, what is needed to have life and so forth, and it's going to be probably the way we think about life and intelligent is going to be totally transformed. So distance is going to be, for sure it's going, and time. Our understanding of time is going to be totally different. But going back to flying cars.
Well, hang on, because you just blew me away with what Oxford just said. Are you saying that Oxford says in our Milky Way, in addition to our planet, they found however many other forms of intelligence?
They didn't find, they calculated.
They're calculating the statistical probability of other forms of intelligence. Yeah, I mean, look, I can buy that just from probability. Right, the probabilities that we're the only intelligent life form just seems more probable that we're not. Right? Okay, that's cool. So flying cars, yeah. And by the way, I love where you went with that, because I asked you about flying cars and you said, you know what? Time is a construct, and so is reality. We won't need transportation soon. I think that's what I heard. So that's amazing. Between now and then, I think flying cars are cool. I want to get in one.
Yeah, no, they're wonderful. They're wonderful. I think they're coming. Well, first of all, they came to Dubai 2-3 years ago. Right. So, we are late into the game. We are coming late to the party. So I think flying car, what is very interesting about car, and I think what is very interesting regarding flying car is Uber ambition. So what they're saying, they says, people are looking for means of transportation, and they're always looking for the cheapest one. So this is what they put on the table. They're saying, if you're using, and the number didn't change from 1812. The price of 1 mile in the States was $3.7. So
the price of 1 mile to if you factor in the cost of the vehicle, the gas, the human capital, everything. Okay, so the cost from 1812, when we first started inventing cars, was how much for a mile?
$3.7.
$3.7, and today it's the same.
Yeah, and what they say, if you use an Uber, it's about, if I'm not mistaken, 2.5, and if you use your this was a taxi. Sorry, this is a taxi. This is an Uber, and this is a private car. It's $1.7.
You see, this is interesting. I'm going to throw in my 2 cents because I love this subject matter, and I did something a few years ago that I just don't know why everybody doesn't do it. And then we'll get back to it, which is that we moved back, my family and I. I'm a family of 5, right? I've got 3 children. My wife and I living under the same roof. We moved back to the US about 4 years ago. And when we moved back, I thought, well, Uber, it's there now. It's strong. So let's see if we can live, a family of 5, on 1 car. Now, I'm talking to an Israeli. That might be normal over there. Over here, you should have 5 cars in the driveway if you've got a family of 5, believe me, right? And so I started looking at that and I thought, well, we'll keep one car, biggish car, so we can cart all the kids around, and then I'll just Uber it everywhere else. So I did that. In the first year, it cost me just under $900. Now think about that. I pitched a car that was 40, 50 grand that just sits on my driveway. I pay a couple of $1,000 a year in insurance. Then I have to pay for all of the upkeep, right? Then I got the hassle of it as well as that. And I spent $900. And I went everywhere I wanted to go.
Yeah, and you can rest in the car. You're not getting agitated. So what is interesting, they're saying they're saying, but if we want to get to 0.35 cents, 35 cents for 1 mile.
Wow, this is Uber ambition.
Yeah, Uber Lyft and Uber High or whatever.
Sure.
Uber, yeah.
Okay.
I forgot the name. Sorry, Uber. I'll remember in a second. Anyway, they say we are not competing with aviation. We are competing with the car manufacturers because we want to abolish ownership on cars. Because it's going to be so quick and it's going to be personal and so forth. So it's very, very interesting. It's very, very interesting. And also when you're looking about Tesla, well, Tesla is a remarkable concept because people don't understand they're changing the whole perception of what does it mean to have a car. Because first of all, they take out, the first part, what you used to get into the car, and then you have, the steering wheel. You don't have this, so you take everything out. So meaning, in a sense, you're going back to the day of the carriage because now you can, redesign.
Right.
So let's assume you're getting up on Sunday and you're too tired. So you're ordering an Uber or whatever that, is arranged as a sleeping room.
Right.
Yeah. And you order and they bring you coffee and so forth. The second day, well, you have a meeting. So you ask for, a lounge. So then you pick up your friends and you pick breakfast and you eat. And on the weekend, suddenly you want, a Jaguar, so you get a Jaguar, so whatever you want. And so instead of you're going to buy the access to transportation and not owning a transportation. But with Tesla, it's even more interesting because what is happening, let's assume that you are buying a car right now, and the hidden assumption is that the value of the car is the highest the day you bought it, right?
Right.
And it's declining.
That's right.
This is the economics. Okay.
Sure.
What happens if I buy a Tesla, which I think it's about 35? Let's assume I'm buying something a little bit with all the gadgets, like $45,000. And then I get to work and I press a button and my car becomes a taxi.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's very cool. Right.
And then it's gaining money.
Yeah.
While I'm working.
Right. It's brilliant. You turn my liability into an asset.
And suddenly, and this is one part. The second part is because they're a software company. They're not a car manufacturer. So they created a way that they can upgrade your car like every 3 months. So if you have a car that is upgraded, the value might also go up, not go down.
Huh. Isn't that interesting? And I love the fact that, as you say, it's a bunch of IT guys recreating the car. They're a software company. I think it's brilliant. Case in point, I remember a while back, this was in the early days, still working out a few bugs. A Tesla drove across a big rock in the road, an obstacle in the road. And of course, it scratched all the batteries and created a problem, a fire in that particular vehicle. So overnight, this is many years ago, they've solved this problem since then. I'm just such a fan. I want to emphasize that. Overnight, they sent out keystrokes and all Teslas just raised up 2 inches.
Exactly.
Globally, just like keystrokes. And we just changed the car through keystrokes. I think it's fantastic. What amazing.
It's called fleet learning. And what Elon Musk is stressing, which is beautiful, that, for example, if by somehow I get into an accident, you are not getting wiser because of that. Probably not me either. But if Tesla has one Tesla has a problem, all the cars are getting better.
Wow.
And if I can remind you that Tesla has about, if I'm not mistaken, 1,000 more percent of kilometers that been driven by Tesla more than any autonomous car manufacturer. So they are, and now they're doing everything with the battery. So they're an amazing company. And may I keep remind us that he doesn't refer to it as a car manufacturer. And I don't know whether you're aware of it, but about 2 months ago, he changed the mission and the operation of Tesla in Germany. And instead of creating cars, manufacturing cars, he's manufacturing right now mini compact factories for masks and for drugs. And he's sending them, and he's sending them now because of COVID-19. He's sending them to India, Africa, and so forth. So it's also think about the ability, because you would never think that Ford can change the manufacturing process in days. Well, so the ability is inside.
That's right. They can change from sort of one vehicle to another, from vehicles to tanks in World War II, for example. But to change from vehicles to making masks, a traditional motor company, you're not going to be able to do that. It's mind-blowing. And this actually brings me back to kind of 3D, would you call it 3D printing? You actually had another word for it. It was
4D printing.
4D printing. What's the fourth D in 4D printing?
Time.
Time, thank you. Okay. You start getting me into physics, and then I'll start thinking string theory. You're going to blow my mind, and I'm going to get some physicist on the next call. Right. So manufacturing of the future, and we've got about 15 minutes or so. Manufacturing of the future so you blew my mind saying, hey, if I wanted to send you, this thing, Eddie, right? You'll just touch a button and then it'll be created, and also I'll be able to just give it to you. My avatar will be able to give it to you. Supply chain and logistics. I mean, how is it going to impact all of that? And then, you get the usual chorus of people saying, my job's threatened by AI and I need, universal basic income or such thing. But I think in the old days, it was the same problem, right? Horse and carriage riders were threatened by the automobile. That's fine. They got repurposed and reemployed. Talk to us about how employees are going to have to repurpose themselves. And to be fair to, how do I put this politely, warehouse employees that, let's say, just work on an assembly line, perhaps their skill set is going to be greatly challenged in the new sort of economy of computers doing all this stuff. How are these people going to survive in this new world? And let's kind of focus it on the manufacturing disruption.
Okay. So first of all, I want to put one issue on the table. We are all, you and me, we are going to live at least to 100 years.
Right.
And our children to 120. So first of all, we have time.
Right.
No, I'm saying also the factory manufacturer, employees and so forth. So they have time.
Yeah.
So I think it's a different mindset.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We have time. Relax. It's not the game is not over. You have 20, 30 extra years to live, so you will have a time. Okay, so this is the first thing. The second thing is what we call exponential mindset. Okay, and this is the second meaning, that you have to understand that everything is changing very rapidly. Because if I'll tell you, for example, I'm here, and I have to go to the fridge to bring water, and so you look at me and says, well, I tell you I have to take 30 steps. So I'm asking you, how far am I have to go? You're probably going to say 30 meters, right? Calculating. Mm-hmm. So the hidden assumption is that every step is the same as the other one. Now, if I tell you I have to go 30 exponential steps, which is every step is double than the first one, meaning 2, 4, 8.
Right.
Meaning if I get 30 exponential steps.
Yeah, what would the math be? That would be huge.
I'm going around the globe 26 times.
Really? From 30 steps, 30 meters, exponentially goes around the globe how many times?
26 times.
Okay, it's mind-blowing. Yeah.
So,
okay.
So once you understand that, let's assume that I'm working in the factory.
Okay.
And I understand that I can't beat the technology. But then I can ask myself, as a human being, who am I? And let's just for a second, let's go back to 106. And I'm a part of a family. We have a huge heritage. We are breeding horses. We are building stables. We have we are giving courses to people who are taking care of the horses. We are building carriages, whatever. We are very wealthy. And you come to me and you say, listen, in 1913, there are going to be the same amount of horses and buggies and cars on the road, because at 1908, Ford came with the T vehicle, but at 1970s you'll have to look for a horse, and you won't. So you're going to tell me this is the future,
right?
I have two options. One of it to say, well, I don't care. The other one is try to fight it, like the Ludites. Mm-hmm. And the third one is change my mind, my perception of the reality. And instead of seeing myself as a horse person, move to being a guy who is dealing, or a woman who is dealing with transportation. Right. So suddenly, I'm not attached to the history and to the heritage. I'm reopening to the future, because if I'm a transportation person, I have huge opportunities.
It is interesting. I wonder what we can do. Now, I'm going to get in trouble from the audience on this one, but I will go for it anyway. I wonder what we can do about people who are challenged with this. Look, I'll give you a great example. If it is illegal for the US military to recruit a person who has an IQ of less than, I think it's 88%. I think that's the number. I might not get the number right, but it's a low IQ, because they have found out that there is nothing they can train you to do that will be helpful. Everything, that person who has a super low IQ is detrimental. Okay, now, statistically, that's 10% of the US population. Now, what are we going to do with those people who typically might have, let's say, a repetitive kind of simple job? How are they going to think exponentially?
First of all, we already have some tools to assist them. We have DARPA is working right now on, a band that you can learn anything. When we are talking about flow is something that usually experts have. Yeah. And you keep saying that you need to have like 10,000 hours of, if you're a piano or a surgeon, you have to go to 10,000 hours of exercise to get to this flow that doesn't matter what is the situation, you're doing it well.
Okay.
DARPA right now is working on this band, which is going to, touch the right places in your neuroscience. And then you can learn anything like in 6 hours.
Okay. Well, and this sounds like Elon Musk's Neuralink, right? Sounds a little bit like that.
I think it's going to be much more interesting than Neuralinks, because I think what Neuralink is right now is mainly for people we know with the really they're really disadvantaged, and they have this critical problems. But I think this is going to be what we are going to have. We are going to be in a situation when we go to a kiosk and we look for apps, not for our cellular phone, but for our mind. You can even go today to Abu Dhabi. They have in the future, the Museum of the Future. You can already see it.
So how is this DARPA band going to work, roughly speaking? Have you read about that?
You put it on your head for, let's say, for a few hours, and it's with the information that is needed. I'll give you an example from another place, okay?
Okay.
Let's assume that we are sitting together and I tell you I'm very thirsty. And I get up from let's say we're sitting in the living room and I'm going to the fridge. When I get to the kitchen, I forgot why I'm there. Does it happen to you?
Yeah. All the time.
Okay, and we used to think that it's because of our age, right?
Yeah, that's right.
No.
Oh, good. All right.
No. It's called our working memory. Our working memory is task-oriented, dependent on the context. So when we are moving to another place, the context is changing. The mind is telling himself, that's it, erase it. There is new challenge. So you go back to the saloon, right? You go back to the living. Suddenly you remember, you go back.
That's right.
So
That's right.
Already today, we have a bandage. You know, we not a bandage. We have a bandana that you can put. It's soon going to be free for everybody, and you can increase your short-term memory and working memory by 25%, between 15 to 25%, meaning
But what's happening? Like, it's something electrical must be going. How does it work?
We already know that electricity, you touch certain areas in your mind, and I'll give you another example. So, and then you increase your salary, your ability to earn money by 25% every year. I'll give you another option. I'll give you another option. Something that, you know, I saw. Let's assume that you're taking people and you're trying to teach them to do something. Doesn't matter what it is. Let's assume that, I don't know, shooting or whatever. And you have like 2 soldiers, and the way they operated is the same, very good. And when you ask them, about their experience, they give the same information. They are both happy. But when you check with neuroscience, you see that one, used only 60% of his abilities and whatever, and the other one is, touching the 100. So now what we can do is then the guy that, he nearly ceased his ability, he can't go beyond, but he's, we can find out which part of his brain we should tackle and create for him a special process. Now, more than that, I'm using the same method, and I can see beforehand who might have a bad or a severe emotional reaction to the process itself, and make sure that this person, for example, will never get into this kind of, I wouldn't say battle, but, dangerous situation. Right. Now, let's assume I'm taking this guy who is working now in the factory. Right. And I'm putting this on him, and it's not going to cost a lot. And I can see what is hard for him, and I can assist him and create for them to reskill and to retrain him to a better work. And Exponential, for example, Wow, that's mind-blowing. Keep going, please. You're just blowing me away. Okay, Accenture is doing something very interesting. They know that at least between 30 to 50% of the, I think, duties or, part of everybody's job can be automated. So they go to the employees and they say, listen, assist us in finding these, parts in your everyday, in your routine. And we promise you that after you assist that to retrain or arrange, whatever is needed, we are putting you in a reskilling program, and we assure you that you will have another job here with us. Yeah. So we are talking now on a new. Kevin Kelly is talking about a new method, a new system that he called Centaurs. I don't know whether Centaurs. It's it's from the Greek mythology, which is half horse, half human. Oh, okay. Oh, yes, a senator. That's right. Sorry, Kevin Kelly. Who's that? Yeah, Kevin Kelly. Kevin Kelly is the legendary writer and creator of Wired. Yeah, you should ring him. He is I'm going to. He's wonderful. He's really mind-blowing. He's really unusual, and he has this very interesting idea about technology. He says that technology is simply our children. Okay. And he says we should train them, and they can challenge us. And he says it's okay that sometimes technology. He says each technology a revolution, has downsides, but then it doesn't mean that we should give up on technology. We should simply bring better technology. And also, he has this wonderful notion saying that humanity progress every time, inch by inch. So he says, even if the new technology is better only and let us, progress, even 1 inch, this is where we should go ahead. So he has this, and he's even going further to say that, in a sense, technology is the 7th kingdom, and that technology used people as as a mean to reproduce themselves. So there you go. Here's this is.
You know, what I'm hearing throughout this entire conversation is just a very different mindset, Yahli, right?
Mm.
You know, coming, you know, it's that Einstein quote that we were chatting about in the preamble before we went live, right? You can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking you used that created those same problems in the first place, right? And the other beautiful quote from one of the smartest guys who have ever lived, Einstein, is imagination is more important than knowledge, right? We can imagine our way out of these things. Okay, we've got a few minutes. There is a question I'm looking at right here. So the question is, what about the future of data privacy and personal space in the digital world? I imagine the question asked this, which is a while back, in the context of what we were talking about with, you know, our own genome, right? I mean, we're talking about our identity. And we're fighting hard enough as it is to have the right to be forgotten, for example, with the GDPR in Europe. So yeah, let's close on that point. What are your thoughts around privacy and kind of protecting the individual for privacy, as well as my actual genome?
Okay, first of all, I think we should know that I think the understanding of privacy is a social term, a social idea. And it has totally different implication and meaning across geographies and cross cultures. So let's assume that we are 100 years ago, and we are going to we are visiting Japan, you know, and they lived, you know, in you know, it wasn't even wooden. I think it was paper house, and you sit with your host, and you hear shouting on the other hand, and you ask him why they are shouting, and he's going to tell you, what are you talking about? Who is shouting? He doesn't even hear.
Wow, interesting. Okay.
So first of all, we should understand that the essence of privacy is totally different, you know, in each different epoch and so forth. So this is one thing. The other thing that I heard Hod Lipson, which is an amazing guy. He's a robotics and he's working in NYU, I think. And he says that the challenge is going to be between privacy and huge convenience. So, for example, about your car, we're going back. Would you like your car to know what music you like, what soft drink you like to drink, when do you want to nap, and so forth, or no? And
I would, yeah.
Yeah, and so he says that you know, right. So he says that. So I think what he says, which I think is very interesting, that most of us are going to be willing for more convenient and comfort to give up on privacy. And I think also we should take into consideration that there is a generation change, and Generation Z, they don't care about privacy at all. It's so this is on the, I would say, the cultural and, you know, historical point of view regarding privacy. But I think regarding technology, we are going to see very soon quantum internet coming in.
Okay, what is that? Explain that.
Quantum internet means that it's not going to be based on our usual computing program and systems. It's going to be based on quantum physics ideas. And so this is one thing. So it's going to be much quicker, and out of it, what is going also to happen, we are not going to speak about one internet. We are going to have different sets. We are going to have networks of internet, not only one. On top of it, you put the idea of blockchain as an idea. Yeah.
Huh.
And then they're going to be, because, and I'm not talking about the paper of Satoshi Nakamoto that put on the table, I think it was 2007, you know, and but the idea that you divide any kind of information to different bytes, and then they are being reconnected, and it's you as if instead of having a middleman, you put your trust in the machine in a sense, and you divide it. And so on top of it, there's going to be a different layer. And and on top of it, I think companies from the commercial side, so this was the technology side, but on the commercial side, I believe companies are going to start paying not only for our DNA, for our time. Right now, when we look in the TV and or whatever on the internet, and you see commercials, they're taking advantage of the most important thing in your life. That this is something that you can't get back. no one can give you back your time. So we are going to be,
right.
So you are going to be paid for renting your DNA, renting, not giving, for renting your time.
Wow.
So it's totally reversed than what we know right now.
There's a magic number in my family with my 3 children. It's 168. And so whenever there's a problem, homework, and I don't want to do the dishes, Dad, or, whatever it might be, I'm late for a party, 168. Everybody, it's the great equalizer, has 168 hours in the week. It's how you use them. It's how efficient we can be, right, with those hours. That's really going to make a difference to our lives. Yahli, I don't want to call a wrap to this amazing session, and I'm going to ask you to promise right now, live in front of an audience, to come back next year.
I'll be delighted. You're too kind. I'll be delighted. It's an honor to represent Israel and Checkpoint. It's an honor for me.
Oh, well, listen, it was really a pleasure. So, if people want to get hold of you, LinkedIn is a good place probably to try and find you, right?
Yeah, and I'm very easygoing. I'm informal. Israelis, we are not very formal, and we love people. So I'll be delighted to be of assistance to anyone. It's going to be a pleasure and an honor to assist anyone. So that's it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find Yahli Admati, just Google that into LinkedIn and message her. It was an honor and a privilege. Thank you so much for doing this with us. And with that, we will see you again soon.
You're too kind. Thank you.
Mind-blowing stuff. Thanks, Yahli. Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye then.